you for coming. And this part of the program I've been looking forward to. I do, my area is composition studies, but my secondary area is American literature. Love Flannery O'Connor. I'm looking forward to this as soon as I found out what was happening. Dr. Ralph Wood will be speaking to us today. The title of the paper is Why East Texas No Longer Belongs to the Bible Belt. Flannery O'Connor's A Good Man is Hard to Find. One of the best short stories ever written. That's not part of the title. That's my added on bit. Dr. Woods is University Professor of Theology and Literature at Baylor. And he holds BA and MA degrees from here. And MA and PhD degrees from the University of Chicago. That was quite a trip. From 71 to 97, he taught on the faculty of Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And there he was the John Allen Easley Professor of Religion. At Baylor, he teaches in both the Great Texts program and the Department of Religion. He serves as an editor-at-large for the Christian Century and is a member of the editorial board of the Flannery O'Connor Review. His major book, first published in '88 and still in print from the University of Notre Dame Press, is called The Comedy of Redemption, Christian Faith and Comic Vision in Four American Novelists, Flannery O'Connor, Walker Percy, John Updike, and Peter DeVries. And he is also the author of Contending for the Faith, The Church's Engagement with Culture, from Baylor, The Gospel According to Tolkien, Visions of the Kingdom in Middle Earth, from Westminster, John Knox, and Flannery O'Connor and the Christ-Haunted South, from Eerdmans. Please please join me in welcoming our very own Ralph Wood.
Very good, thank you. Well, as I say, a lot of history goes into not only my wife Suzanne and I having spent 6 very happy years here, from 1959 through 1965, but even with this very building, for my father was a hod carrier when this building was being constructed in 1929 and 1930. You can believe that. My mother and father are both graduates of East Texas Normal College, as it was called then. They never attended a single long term. They were too poor. Because in those days, they went to what was called the sub-college. Some of you have heard of that here at Commerce. When they finished the 11th grade, which was as far as any high school went in East Texas. And then at age 18, they were certified to teach. And so they went out and became public school, country school teachers in the piney woods of East Texas, as we say, behind the pine curtain, in Cass County, and came back every summer to earn their bachelor's degrees. My mother eventually a master's degree. My maternal grandparents were sharecroppers, and my maternal great, for example, an atheist for whom poor Nietzsche would be horrified, really a bad atheist. In any case, a Mencken called the South the Bible Belt. In 1919, well, within 5 years, William Faulkner was to begin publishing the work that makes him more than likely the greatest fiction writer this nation has produced. Shortly thereafter, of course, Eudora Welty, who began producing stunning works of fiction. In their train would come Robert Penn Warren. After him, of course, John Crowe Ransom. And the whole stellar school gathered at Nashville, then in the 30s and 40s. Issuing in, of course, finally, Walker Percy and Flannery O'Connor. The region Mencken thought the most backward, the most primitive, the most benighted was, in fact, the region that would become the literary leader of the first half of the 20th century. So the hegemony passed initially from New England to the South, then back to New York with the great Jewish writers in the 1950s. And of course now, there is no such leadership anywhere because we've totally fragmented. And about that, I'll have more to say in just a minute. Let me read a passage from Benny. And this is really shameless self-advertisement. I don't have any copies to sell. This is my book on Flannery O'Connor. Listen to what Mencken has to say about us and our region. Down there, a poet is almost as rare as an oboe player, a dry point etcher, or a metaphysician. It is indeed amazing to contemplate so vast a vacuity as the South. Nearly the whole of Europe could be lost in that stupendous region of fat farms, shoddy cities, and paralyzed cerebrums. And yet, for all its size and all its wealth and all the progress it babbles of, it is almost as sterile, artistically, intellectually, culturally, as the Sahara Desert. And thank God.
We are here today not only to honor the legacy of Dr. Barrus, but also to greet Mary's new book, Man of Grace, and one of the world's finest critics has already dubbed it with the word splendid. If there was ever a biographer who matched her subject perfectly, it is Mary Cimarolli. She studied with Dr. Barrus for 2 degrees and resumed her association with him while he was teaching English, while she was teaching English and serving as head of the English division at Richland College. And Dr. Barrus was then an ordained priest. All of us can recall several landmark days in the history of this institution. For example, in January 1949, Paul W. Barrus arrived in Commerce to start his teaching career here. Then, as we heard from Ralph Wood, Flannery O'Connor came in the fall of 1962, and we haven't been the same since. And I would propose that we add this day to those landmark events. There was such magic at the luncheon today when we heard from Mary Cimarolli about how she came to write Man of Grace. And then we heard from Monsignor Petter, who was just a lifesaver to Dr. Barrus when he entered the priesthood. And we heard his harmonica music. All great events. And we could never have found a better lecturer than Dr. Ralph Wood.
To those of you present, the name of Paul Wells Barrus brings up many happy memories. Describing him in our allotted time is an impossible task. For each of us, he played many roles. The first that comes to mind is that of a master teacher and scholar. He was my mentor, dearest friend, and advisor. Dr. Barrus was a man of complex simplicities. Each task he undertook was done thoroughly and with his whole heart. No one walked more handily with his fellow man than he did, or felt both the pain and joy of those around him. Teaching was his life, and he was honored by the faculty of the university with our first Distinguished Teaching Award for his contributions here at the East Texas State University. He enjoyed life in its many facets.